Welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, we are in the same clothes.
Yes, we are.
Do you want more coffee?
Nope.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay.
It'll be too much. I don't want to start shaking, sweating profusely for no reason. We're good. So, quick shout out to our sponsors, Addie's. Thank you for your logo. We are still marathon recording today. And that means that you can still head on over to QueenCityCreativeWorks.com where you can support us as well as them. Etsy shop on roids. They can ship everything right to your door, no matter where you live, inside and outside of the United States. Queen City, thank you so much for your continued partnership/sponsorship for your customized items. Useless fact for today's episode is as follows. In 2004, Paul Walker secretly bought a $10,000 engagement ring for a U.S. veteran. Paul was at a jewelry store and overheard a couple talking about a ring they loved but couldn't afford. Paul quietly paid for the ring, and the couple didn't know it was him for nearly 10 years. Here's the backstory. The late Fast and Furious actor performed the overwhelming act of generosity after overhearing the couple say the piece was too expensive for them. When he found out Kyle just came back from Iraq, I remember seeing the look in his face. He kind of transformed. Kristen, the shopkeeper, told. The pair quickly recognized Walker after striking up a conversation with the star. Kyle told the actor he had arrived home after a tour of duty in Iraq. Realizing that they didn't have the funds to buy the ring they wanted, they left the store empty-handed. A short time later, the sales assistant called them, insisted that they return to the store, where they were presented with the ring. Walker had in fact tracked down the shop manager and told him to put the ring on his tab. Baffled by the purchase, the Uphems quizzed the sales clerk, but on Walker's request, they refused to tell them who it was. The couple held onto the gift receipt for safekeeping, suspecting that it had been the actor that made the purchase. However, their suspicions had never been confirmed. The store itself had since closed in Santa Barbara, but kept the secret until the star's tragic death. His real life speaks volumes of his character. He really did put his money where his mouth is and did good for this world.
That is touching.
The dude is, I mean, he really is a normal human being. Mm-hmm. Well, he really was a normal human being. Right. He his foundation's great. It was conservation, esque, and just I don't know. It sucks. The good ones die young.
Jesus, dude, why you gotta break stuff?
It's fine.
I was gonna say before you said that they had suspicion that he did it. I was like, how do you not know that he did it? You tell your story to one of the wealthiest actors, and you just are like, I don't know where this came from. Maybe the shop clerk had a lot of money. Like, you knew it was him. You might not have had the confirmation, but you knew it was him.
I think, yeah. I mean,
how many rich people are you meeting that you're like, I don't know, it could have been this guy too. Like, no, it was Paul Walker.
Well, the thing about it is, for one, it's LA. There's a ton of money there. And then it's Santa Barbara. So even if that story got out and someone else in the store heard it at a later date of like, hey, like this couple, like one of the employees could have been there that day. Nothing transpired from Paul. Some other millionaires inside the store. And he's like, oh, well, then just put that on my tab. Like, that's also a possibility, True. So then it's like, we're not telling you where this came from, because it's a store. Obviously, the store has multiple customers with, potentially multiple millionaires. And that easily could have happened, which is why it probably says, they had suspicion that it was him, but the store would never actually confirm or deny if it was or not, which kinds of leave it, open-ended where they're like, come on, we think it is, but just give us a closure, But either way, dude's a bro.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of his cars was white. Crazy. Yeah, do you remember awesome. What his car collection sold for at auction total?
No, I don't.
I think it was over 2 mil. Let me check. Paul Walker's.
Yeah, he just seemed like a down-to-earth dude that never had any controversy around him.
No, not at all.
Which is wild for Hollywood.
Yeah. His car collection was sold 2.3 mil. That's what I thought. 2.3 mil.
That's not that much.
Well, dude, every car was it was a classic stock, Mach 3 Supra, 6-speed, just hanging out. It's crazy. Crazy. So, any Hoosers, topic for today's episode. We are going to rank the announcers best to worst. Let's start with football.
Okay. Do you have a list of all the announcers that you want to rate, or are we just going to spitball who we know?
It matters of who we know because it's the same people that are on every major football game in the NFL.
So we have Chris Collinsworth, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, Al Michaels, Tony Romo.
Jim Nantz retired.
Jim Nantz. Well, we can still include him, though.
Okay.
And who else? Who's the other football player that does announcing?
Greg Olson.
Greg Olson did it for like a half second. Yeah, that's true. Anyone else that we're missing?
No, we'll rate those.
Okay. So
we'll start with best and then work our way to worst.
Okay. Best, I would probably say Al Michaels.
Jim Nantz and Al Michaels for sure.
Well, you got to put one above the other, dude. I like Al Michaels because
Nantz
he's the
doesn't Nantz do the Masters?
I think that's Al Michaels, right?
No.
Jim Nantz doesn't have
I
Masters?
believe Jim Nantz does the Masters. I mean, bro.
Yeah. Whoever does the Masters is number one.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
is that
has to
Jim
be.
Nantz or Al Michaels? I thought it was Al Michaels.
No, I thought it was Jim Nantz. Don't be confusing me, bro.
I watch the Masters all the time. But why do I think it's Al Michaels? I'm probably just mixing their faces up.
Announcer for Masters. Yeah, Jim Nantz.
Jim Nantz? Okay, Jim Nantz is number one then.
Yeah. Then Al Michaels.
Then Al Michaels.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to start getting a little controversial, I think.
Okay.
So you have Chris Collinsworth, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, Greg Olson, and Tony Romo.
We need to put these on the board.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted you to have a list.
No, I'm saying a visual board for the viewers.
Oh, we will. The BHH announcer ratings. Football edition. Is next week like hockey? We can't do that. So who would be next? So really the discussion is who do you hate the least? Because after Jim Nantz and Al Michaels, I hate everyone.
Same. I would put Greg Olson above pretty much everybody else on this list.
I agree. Even though his tenure was short because he wasn't good, at least he was kind of stupid good. Yeah. Like he didn't know much, so he didn't offend anyone.
Right. I think the biggest fall is Tony Romo, who started hot coming out of the league because he was still in the game of football and he could recognize things and watch tape. And then he just became an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah.
He plummeted faster than the Cleveland Browns organization did.
Maybe Tony Romo got a massage too. The thing with Tony Romo is that he was so accurate because he played football for so long. He could look at a play and be like, this is what they're going to do. The defense has to do this. And then it would be exactly what happened because he played the game. And from a football fanatic standpoint, I like watching that because I liked him being able to break down things before they happened. I feel like it's not necessarily a fault of the announcers. It's just how much I hate Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow and other people that are stars now. Because it's taken over commentary.
No, it has. And at the same point, you're also having guys in the booth that ruin great plays with stupid comments or no comments, which is what we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just here's my thing. And this is where it gets touchy and there's debates. If you put Joe Buck or Tony Romo as radio announcers and you're driving and you're listening to them, you have zero clue what's going on. Right? But if you're watching the Buffalo Sabres or you're listening to the Buffalo Sabres, Rick Jeanneret is doing both and you know exactly what's happening because he's a play-by-play guy and really good at it. He's a Hall of Famer. One of the most emotional greatest plays ever in Bills franchise history occurs, and Tony Romo ruined the moment. Mm-hmm. But then you have Sal Capaccio as a sideline commentator literally making one of the greatest calls ever by saying it's Hollywood Buffalo, huge things that gives you goosebumps. The radio announcer is absolutely murdered. And then you have Tony Romo like, oh, wow. Like, what is that? Like, you might as well just not even speak, you know? Like, that is what's enraging to me when you watch these games and then listen to these idiots. Like, just figure it out. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, I just don't understand how that is something that we all have to suffer through nationwide. And they're on every big time game ever. Like, just don't put them on anymore. There's got to be a vote. There's got to be a vote. You know, the fans have got to just like write letters or something and be like, this is idiotic at this point. Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they should have, well, no, because if there's a local game, then you can't have the local people calling it because that's super biased.
yeah, but even our local announcers aren't biased.
Well, ours aren't, but can you imagine going and playing a game in Cincinnati?
Boston?
Yeah. Or New England and
Right.
having to hear them, like, that would be crazy bad. So I understand wanting to have a conglomerate of people that are like sports guys that are supposed to be calling all this stuff, but goddamn, we have to have some better options than what we have.
So I would put Jim Nance, Al Michaels, and then we would basically
Greg
put
Olson.
Greg Olson in third. And then,
He just didn't talk. He was just like, I'm here.
yeah.
I just want to try this out.
And he's actually better than, what was his name? The Dallas Cowboys tight end.
With Jason Witten.
Jason, yeah, he sucked too.
Yeah, he was bad.
He didn't last long at all. Everyone's like, all right, bye-bye. Just kind of like shuffle off. Dude, this is your last like Monday night. So Greg Olson, and then I would put who's left? We have Collinsworth, Romo, and Buck.
And Aikman.
And Aikman. So I would put
Yeah, I
Aikman
would put Aikman at fourth.
over Greg Olson. Or
No,
nah?
Greg Olson's third.
You would? You would keep Greg Olson over Aikman.
I would keep Greg Olson. Yeah.
You hate Aikman that much?
I don't hate Aikman.
I would put Aikman third, Greg Olson fourth.
Okay.
And Aikman actually did a good job during the DeMar Hamlin situation.
Everybody during that situation did a good job. And honestly, I'm just super pissed off
No,
at
not the one guy.
who?
Not the one guy. He's bottom barrel my list. I hope he's never on TV ever again.
Who?
Mr. Buck.
Oh.
He is the worst.
Yeah,
We'll get to it.
He's not the worst.
You think he's better than Collinsworth?
Yes. We'll get there. Easy. We'll get there. So, but the whole DeMar Hamlin situation was an extremely difficult because the network was just like, keep talking. And it's like, what do you mean keep talking?
Yeah, just keep playing commercials.
Yeah,
That's
like
what you should have done.
Yeah, just keep
Nobody
playing
wants to
commercials,
see
and
everybody
then-
in a circle on the field.
Yeah, and then they went back to like the inside reporting, and they're like, I don't know what else you want me to say. We've said everything for the past hour and a half, and then went back to the field. They're like, I don't know what to say. We've said everything for the past. Like that was the worst situation.
Yeah.
So I don't fault anybody that was in that.
No update here. We'll take it to the booth. No
Yeah,
update here. We'll take it to the
exactly.
field.
It was like, God damn.
It was like a Family Guy skit.
Yeah. It was brutal. But like, so yeah, I would still go Greg Olson and then Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman, I don't mind, but he looks like he's high during every single comment, like every single game because his eyes are beet red. I don't know if he is actually smoking.
No, he's
or if
exhausted.
yeah, but he's. I don't necessarily mind him, but I like the
They're like, oh, home 49ers game. Awesome. Home Giants tomorrow. Like, what?
I do like Troy Aikman's voice more.
Yeah, his voice is tolerable.
Yeah.
So I would, I personally would put Aikman, then Olson.
Okay.
So those are 3 and 4th. Now 5th, we have Collinsworth, Romo, and Buck left.
This is going to be tough. All right, let's do a switcheroo. Do you want to do a switcheroo and then start from the bottom for the next 3?
Yeah.
Like who's the worst?
Yeah.
So your worst is
Joe
Buck.
goddamn Buck is the worst announcer ever. There are legitimate 12-minute compilation videos on YouTube of awful Joe Buck calls. Here's an example. I will just illustrate one of his calls. I'll tell you what play actually happened, and then I'll tell you his call.
Okay.
Okay? It was a kickoff return. It was not Bills related. It was a kickoff return for a touchdown. The player broke 3 tackles and made a great juke to basically just destroy the kicker, bounce it outside, and then ran down the sideline hash for a touchdown. Great play. It was monumental. It was late in the game. It basically won them the game. And the call for Joe Buck, I don't even remember the guy's last name, the returner. I'm just going to say it was Williams. Okay. The other announcer sets it up. The ball's kicked. Joe Buck takes over with a, here we go. The ball's then caught, and all you hear is Williams catches it at the 4. Williams. Touchdown Williams.
Is that serious?
Swear to God.
Is that really true?
I swear to God. I will literally play it. I will find it on YouTube and play it. But he's famous for that. He's absolutely famous for that. And you have zero idea that this dude is just breaking tackles. There's another one. Eddie George runs over. You remember Eddie George? Mm-hmm. Runs over, it was Jacobs, number 27 for the Giants running back.
Okay.
Runs over Charles Woodson. Runs him over. He kicks it outside, and he was supposed to run like B gap, and he kicked it outside, and Woodson meets him at the end of the line, basically, and he lowers his shoulder, they collide, and just murders Woodson. Like, huge hit, changes the momentum. 2 Hall of Famers basically just going at it, and Joe Buck is like literally having a sidebar conversation, and then he just acknowledges the hit, where he's having this conversation like you and I are, and then he goes, and then Jacobs, he goes, Woodson meets Jacobs. Jacobs down at the 3. So yeah, and then just continues the conversation. And I'm like, are you just negating what like everyone witnessed that? Like nothing? And it's, he'll do it with Hill. If Mahomes Hill over the top, and he's like, Mahomes throws Hill, touchdown. Like, dude, there's no like what are you doing?
Like it's a glitch in a video game.
Yeah, and then literally
hell.
And then
hell.
The debate to it is, well, yeah, he's letting you hear the crowd roar. Okay, if I wanted to hear that, I would go to the game.
Right.
Or I would, I just don't. He sucks, bro. He sucks. I'm going to pull up that call because it was so annoying to listen to.
So what I want to know from you is if you value not adequately expressing the play, or if you value bias more. Like if there's an announcer that's so astoundingly biased towards a certain team or a player, does that bother you more than somebody who's just Hill?
Yeah, kind of. The bias to one team drives me nuts.
So that's my argument for Collinsworth being the worst. And I can tell you a play, and maybe it's just because we're Buffalo fans and we're just sick of hearing Mahomes' name over and over and over again. But I remember specifically a play where Mahomes is running out of the pocket to the left, and he goes to make a throw, I think, to Kelsey. And when he goes to make the throw to Kelsey, he tries to throw it, but then the last second, he decides that he wants to tuck it, but he fumbles it. Like, when he's throwing it, he doesn't fumble it, but he loses control of the ball, and then it falls to the ground and rolls away.
Yeah.
And then Collinsworth's words were, what an excellent play by Mahomes there. And he literally lost control of the ball, threw it to the ground as a mistake when he was trying to complete a pass to Kelsey, then he decided to tuck it. But he loses control of the ball, and Collinsworth goes, that's an excellent play by Mahomes there. That is what bothers me the most, because it's every single Kansas City game. It's always Collinsworth jerking off Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I just can't stand that. And it's not even just Mahomes. I think it's just the lack of respect for Josh Allen. Because it's never. I think it's lack
of respect for whoever's playing Kansas City.
Yeah.
It can be league wide. It doesn't have to be just Bills related. Well, because they do that for everybody the Chiefs play.
But I feel like they also do that for anybody that the Bills play on the reverse side. Like, it's never anything special about Josh Allen. It's always the other team. Somebody on the other team is doing a good job.
Where Romo does credit good throws when he sees them.
Exactly. That's why I would probably put Romo at 5.
But we're going opposite. So listen to this call from Joe Buck, and I'll let you watch the video as well. This is going to give you you're going to have a stroke.
Mitchell. Down to the 20.
Like, are you kidding me? The dude's literally breaking 11 out of 11 tackles, and all you get is Mitchell. Mitchell. Like, it's just so frustrating to listen to.
Yeah.
So, for me, Joe Buck is the absolute worst. You're having Collinsworth as the absolute worst. So
Correct.
we're opposite.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So then we would have Romo above them.
Yeah. Because Romo is, like I said, I like watching when Romo calls a game that is close and is competitive. Because I think when there's a close competitive game, he does a very good job at
Setting
setting it up, calling out really good plays, and then also dissecting a lot of football talk to the layman people.
Yeah.
To where Gina can watch and she's like, I know exactly what he's saying, because he's very good at that. What I think Romo really struggles with is his personal biases, and if his favorite teams are winning by a blowout, because then he's just destroying the other team for no reason.
Yeah.
That's when I think I have issue with him.
I concur. I definitely concur.
But can we just agree that Buck and Collinsworth should never call plays again?
Yes, they shouldn't. They shouldn't travel. They shouldn't. They shouldn't be on TV. Joe Buck can go to I don't know, not even female World Cup soccer. Below that, a farm team soccer team that's all women. That's where he should go commentate sports.
Do you
something
think,
that literally no one watches or even knows exists?
Yeah. Do you think that hockey announcers can go to football and do a better job than football announcers going to hockey?
Football going to hockey, but not vice versa, right?
No. Well, just compare the two. Do you think that hockey announcers would do better going to football, or do you think football announcers would do better going to hockey? What would make the sport better?
I don't know, dude. Hockey announcers are a different breed.
That's why I think that hockey announcers going to football would do a significantly better job than football announcers going to hockey.
Yeah.
Because you know how much skill and just knowledge of the sport you have to be Dowling passes it to Owen Power passes it to Tage Tom. Knowing the numbers on all the jerseys and just who everybody is in that split second when they get a pass is elite.
But the game itself is so much faster than football.
100%.
So you have to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Where it's so much easier to set up, 3rd and 2 to win the game. It's towards the end of the year. If they don't convert this, the season's over with. Right. They're not going to the playoffs. That's so much more easy to set up, opposed to hey, we got 36 seconds on the clock. We're on the opposite blue line, and we're in a far circle trying to gain possession, and then our only hope is an icing. If you don't know hockey, you have no clue what I just said.
Yeah.
So all of that, or they finally get a 2-on-1, but the friggin' nerd is offsides. Mm-hmm. That makes you want to throw your headphones.
Yeah.
And that makes you want to go full Dorsey. So I just, there's no way that. And Buck, I know calls baseball. He's called golf before, I believe, and he does football. Has he done hockey? I feel like he's done hockey.
So.
I feel like he's done hockey.
But actually, it's kind of interesting because comparing the two is somewhat comparing apples to oranges, because hockey is so fast paced. We were blessed having Rick Jeanneret, because not only is he the best announcer to ever exist, but he had a personality too.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a football announcer, you need to have a personality, because there's so much dead time in football. As soon as a play's over, you have 30 seconds until the next play that you as an announcer kind of have to fill. So you have to have some sort of personality or being able to riff. As a hockey announcer, if you're not like Rick Jeanneret, you don't need to have personality. You just need to call the play. And then once the whistle blows, you have like 30 seconds until the puck drops or a minute until the puck drops, but that's not happening all the time. Like there's less time to fill as a hockey announcer than there is as a football announcer. So I kind of give respect a little bit to football announcers that they can do that.
Okay, so here's the thing. Do you give Joe Buck like $13.5 million worth of respect? Because that's basically what he gets paid.
Every year?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. He will receive between $60 million and $75 million over the course of his 5-year deal, which means he'll make somewhere between $12 and $15 million per year. That's his new salary breakdown. And he did call hockey briefly for a Blues game. That was it.
Wow.
13 mil? You give him $13 million worth of credit?
Dude, running backs don't even get paid that much.
Correct. Trash, bro. With his blockhead and his weird forehead.
Saquon Barkley is making 11 mil next year. And friggin' Joe Buck is making 13 and a half.
I'm literally going to post that right now and then just watch the universe explode.
That's so annoying.
He's the worst.
What are your thoughts on the whole running back situation?
I think it's sad. I think it's really sad. I don't like the fact that they're kind of alienating running backs and devaluing them as an entire position. I get it, like you're not going to put that much draft capital in a running back. You're just not, because unless it's a complete one-off like a McCaffrey, but otherwise there's no reason to.
Yeah. I feel like it's tough with running backs because you get, like, let's say you draft a running back in the first round and you get them all the way up to their 5th-year option. In 5 years, they're bound to have some sort of crazy injury because that's just the position. So when you're up for that next contract, it's never you're a healthy running back. You've done great for us. Let's really completely reset the running back market because you're that star, like you are with wide receiver. If you get a wide receiver 5th-year option or a quarterback 5th-year option, they're basically still new because they don't get injured that much. So there's no discounting their value because of injury. Running backs, it's always like that. Like look at Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley like died after 5 years and just never returned. He would have been that running back that reset the market, but he just decided to like not be alive anymore. I mean, Alvin Kamara has been to jail like 47 times too, so that's probably not good either. And then you get Christian McCaffrey, who probably could reset the market, or he has reset the market somewhat. But you get Aaron Jones. He's had on and off seasons. Like, think of the highest value running back. Saquon Barkley destroyed his legs. So you think of the highest value running backs and your confidence in them playing the next couple years versus the highest value wide receivers or the highest value quarterbacks, and if they would be playing the next couple years. And it's easily in the favor of wide receiver quarterback than it is running back.
Yeah.
You just don't have that consistency with running back because of the terrible, like the brutal positions. And to that end, do you want to throw all your money towards a position that could easily get injured next year? Or do you want to throw your money towards a stud wide receiver too? Like that's the whole argument there.
The other thing too is offensive schemes. Where does a running back really fit? And at the end of the day, it really comes down to pass blocking ability.
Yeah.
And it just does. And unless you have a offensive minded genius as either the OC or the head coach, it's going to impact how the payout works from to the running back. Where if you look at Derrick Henry, the Titans made their offense solely towards Derrick Henry. If you look at the Cowboys, Tony Pollard is just better than Zeke.
Yeah.
Like Zeke just got kind of chubby and then not as powerful, and he was like a third down back, but it really didn't matter. Like nothing really came of what Zeke's potential, I guess, was coming out of Ohio State.
Right.
It's just not, it wasn't there. But then you also have the positions changed because the offenses have changed. We're not in the Ricky Williams, McGahee era where you're having those dudes just be absolute staples and you can't stop them even if you tried. So now it's just spread out, and then it really comes down to pass blocking ability, which is why, like Cook, it took long to develop because his pass blocking wasn't there, which is what you need, So I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of fascinating to see them just devalue running backs the way that they have. And it sucks because it's a great addition to an offense, but I think it's weird if you look at it. It went from staple running back position like Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, those dudes, to a bruiser running back, Jerome Bettis, Jacobs, Eddie George, like guys like that. And then it went to pass catching running backs with like Reggie Bush and dudes that are just freak athletes that can also run 4.4 like out of nowhere and then stop on a dime.
Yeah.
And then you get the Alvin Kamara's, Christian McCaffrey's, and now it went to, like, can you block? And then we'll just run a screen, get you into space, see what you can do, and like pick up 5 yards. Like, we're good. Like, just help us out on first or second down just to make it easier for third down conversions. Like, that's all we really need you for.
Do you think that is the result of like these college level plays that are let's run wide receiver screens or jet sweeps or something where you now have basically running back talent, but in receiver form, like a Deebo Samuel or something like that, where you can ease Isaiah McKenzie, kind of bad example, but where you have this player that can run 4.4 and can be in the backfield, but also has hands. Like there's just really, and I 100% am in no, I'm not in the favor of not valuing running backs, but I can kind of see why, because they have become somewhat of an obsolete position in modern day football.
I think it's twofold. I think some of it is cap and just overall contracts and how contract markets are changing per positions where you have to spend so much money for positions that really aren't ever going to go away.
Yeah.
Quarterback, wide receiver, and lineman, right? Like you're going to pay money for a good defensive tackle, a good wide receiver, a good franchise quarterback that's a staple.
Good bit of linebacker.
Yeah, depending on the defensive scheme, opposed to, it's like, dude, it's a running back. Like, who cares? Like, there's free agents everywhere.
Yeah.
We can pick up Dalvin Cook for vet minimum. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, he's a stud. And it's like, dude, what? Like, he should be getting, I don't know, multiple $1 million, like over $10 million a year. Like, right? Like, it's Dalvin Cook.
Did you hear that he hated his Jets visit?
Did he really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear that. So I think it's that. I think it's contract based. And then I also think it's because of the offensive changes where literally just the game is evolving in a way that it's kind of slowly morphing into we don't necessarily need running backs. We just need a skilled position that can block.
Yeah.
So,
which is interesting too to see what happens with the nose tackle positions and interior lineman positions in the future. If running backs aren't that big bruiser, big price tag position anymore, will teams be transitioning away from getting the 900-pound Vince Wilfork in the center because you need someone to stuff the run?
Yeah. I mean, even look at tight ends where tight end U is a huge thing now.
Yeah.
And there's guys openly talking about, dude, a majority of TEU is just talking about the release. Like, how do I release out of the line to get into space and run my route? And they're going through techniques to do that because now a tight end is not just, you're not having a Lee Smith who can block and it's basically just like a more mobile tackle. We need a weapon at tight end. Like, we need a Dalton Kincaid. We need, Kelsey and George Kittle. Like, we need that kind of a tight end now, which is insane. Yeah. Which, again, I need a skilled position dude, but can block. Right. Tight ends and running backs are falling into that same hole. But, it's fascinating.
It's crazy. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching today's episode. Let us know your thoughts on running backs and also our useless fact of the day, which was what? I already forgot what our useless fact was for today.
Hold on.
Oh, Paul Walker. Walker, yeah.
Paul Walker Jewelry Store.
Everything. We're still on coffee. We haven't even gotten to the whiskey yet. But let us know if there's a topic that you would like us to discuss in the future, because we are here for you. And we appreciate you guys watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Buffalo Happy Hour to hear more specifics on what we got coming up, because we got some big things coming up. And then also head over to our second channel, BHH Whiskey Talk, where we talk all things whiskey and interview head distillers from other whiskey distilleries throughout the country. So thank everybody for joining today's episode. We really appreciate it. And please remember to always drink responsibly. Big Person and Michael.
Do not litter.
We're out.